which way of loving the world do I enjoy the most?
I love
Because
that.
all work is really service. All service is truly just love.
Service is so important, which a lot of us kind of forget sometimes. If we're here to serve other people, when you serve people, you feel like something just feels right about it. If it just clicks, like some people are so just bitter and angry, and they're like, I hate human beings. But in reality, you really love humans. You just don't understand yourself enough to understand how much you truly love them and yourself. Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Helmut, a transformative leader, spiritual disruptor, tech executive, and best-selling author and founder of the Gaily Dose, known for breaking molds and inspiring authentic impact and change. Welcome, Dr. Helmet. It's an honor to have you on here today.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Before we get started, if you could kind of let us and the audience know a little bit about your journey, like how far you come, who you were, who you are now, and then how you're helping people.
Wow, that's a long story that I'm going to make really short, or I'll do my best to. So, I'm a bit of a messed up family. My father is a German immigrant, and his parents were Nazi resistance. My mother is Native American Latin, and her family comes from northern Mexico. And they were basically rebels, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, till they became Christian missionaries to Texas. Yeah. And so I was born in El Paso, Texas, this little kid. And at 7 years old, I think it was, I was a good little Christian boy, but I learned that being gay would separate me from God, from my family, from everything. And that put a box around me, or at least I would say I put myself in a box. And that's a pretty typical experience for many people in the LGBT community. But I would also say it's a typical situation for most of us at some point, whether it's because you're race or because you're a boy, you're not supposed to cry, or girls are not supposed to do this, or black, white, Christian, Muslim, whatever the things are, our parents, society, the village gives us boxes and we put them on, right? And we take them on. And we do that a lot of our lives. And that separates us from really the great opportunity to be our best selves. And so I would say the short answer is I did my best to honor my creator and not be gay. So I became a closeted coward, eventually, yes, became a father, but also became an adulterer and a divorcee. And it wasn't done there after I left my marriage, and now I was a gay corporate executive, and I struggle with things like being a perfectionist, being a workaholic, casual sex, or substances and alcohol. Those things are all things I struggle with till it was a mirror I was 42 years old. I was looking at a mirror in Paris after a night of revelry and just felt really empty and was like, you were made for so much more than this. And so I went home here to Atlanta, started coaching gay men one-on-one. Of course, I've been executive all this time and doing big, beautiful, $750 million raised in revenue, 2 billion lives impacted kind of things. But I started a men's group in my home, right, to just bring gay men together, talking about what was in common in our stories. And then started the podcast, The Gaily Dose, for 3 years. That became an award-winning podcast to really have conversations to elevate the gay community. I started a nonprofit called The Gaily Impact, which is really focused on financial literacy and teaching and helping to create entrepreneurs out of people that honestly are not often given a lot of financial opportunity. And then I wrote a book on spiritual awakening. And from that book, I now have a new podcast called Wake Up to Your Life Magic, where I talk about the next level of elevation, which is really just about how we're spiritually and morally deficient in today's leadership, both in corporate America and in politics. And I love that podcast. It's been fun kicking that off. And then I'm running for mayor of Atlanta. So with that same token in mind of spiritual leadership and awakening to solve our biggest challenges, which I think we both know there are many challenges in society today. So that's the short story. But I would say coming out of all of that, I did reconnect writing my book on spiritual awakening. I reconnected with God. I realized that there's one loving source of the universe who cares about every one of us. And so I'm really passionate about helping people to understand how vital it is for them to break their boxes and to come into their highest self.
I love that story. I love how you're talking about boxes. I'm always talking about that too. Because, like, as human beings, we need to be able to differentiate ourselves from others. And we kind of like have to use these little things to describe people, like, oh, this box, that box. Or we've gotten so caught into that that we're stuck in that box. We kind of
Yeah.
keep ourselves there longer than we need to.
Yeah, they're kind of like the chains that bind us, right?
Yeah.
So, it was the construct of sin is sort of one thing, shame, right? And I believe that because I am Christian, I believe that I get to live shame free. But living shame free means always learning. And it means now really understanding why are you holding yourself small? If you're a child of love, then you get to really truly understand who you are. And that requires breaking these boxes and really evaluating what part of what I say is manly do I like? What part of what I say is manly do I not like? I'm going to define manly for Helmut or for Justin, and I'm going to love the highest masculine form that I can pursue.
I love that. That's something that a lot more of us need to do. We need to really
Yeah,
kind
we
of
get
wake
to.
up. Yeah. We need to wake up and to be like, I can choose who I am, who I become, and what I'm going to be doing with my life in today. But a lot of
Yeah,
us
and
can't
we've
take our choices away from ourselves before we even start.
right, which is actually therefore the greatest victimhood, right? Like to lose this life because you're believing a pack of lies that you adopted from everyone around you. Because hurt people hurt people. It's
Yeah.
not, it's, you just have to know that you're in this ocean of hurt people and you've got to heal yourself to kind of break out of the matrix, right? And then you can help other people to be their highest form of self.
I love how you just said that you have to heal yourself to bring out the matrix. That's the journey I've been on. I've been trying to help people understand. 'Cause I didn't understand myself for a while. I'm like, I want to
Right.
get out of this matrix, but how the hell do I do this? And clearly, what I was doing was keeping in this perpetual cycle of this like constant hell and negativity and anxiety. I didn't understand why. But then I started going that healing journey, searching for what God meant to me and just becoming a better human. Things kind of started to fall into place. I started understanding the universe at a quantum level and how connected we are. But it took so much time, so much work. But it was so worth it though, too.
Yeah. And we have to take into consideration that we are the most loved generation on earth, right? So what we're complaining about, and I don't mean that rude, like you and I we kind of like, it's hard work, and it is.
It is.
This is nothing. This is pales in comparison to the kind of work it took for someone 100 years ago to be able to do this kind of thing, right? Because
Mm,
you had to have your protection, right? You had to have, the security of your money. You had to have freedom of your thoughts, right? And your lifespan was shorter. Your options were shorter and information wasn't available to you. So just the whole concept of what we're going through now is something that was, I would say, only reserved for elite people who had the time to really
true.
curate themselves, right?
Yeah. I like how you put that. When you look back on it, it wasn't available to everyone. Now it's so available that some of us don't know what to do with it or how to interpret it or where to start. It can be really
Right,
overwhelming.
right. But when it's available to everyone, the goal is that then everyone can actually stay in that state, right?
Yeah. How do we help other people realize that this is possible? It's available to them, but they're not taking up on the offer. They're not going and doing it. A lot of people are just kind of where they are. What are some things maybe that you could offer to help people kind of start waking up and realizing what they can do with what's available to them?
Yeah. So I would say if I was talking to my friend, right,
Yeah.
who was maybe in a place, I think you have to really start with, what's your purpose? Why are you here? And a lot of people will say, if they really sit, they don't know.
That's
They're like,
okay.
well, I go to work and I would really like a boyfriend, or I really, I enjoy my husband or wife or whatever. Like, okay, but why are you here? And if you really get down to that, you go, well, how long are you okay with just not having one? How long? And what do you think that does for your happiness and joy? So you really got to go to the problem, which is that we're built to have purpose. We're built to long for something. And those people who don't have it, that's a good place to start. And then I think once you kind of say, do you want to change that? Would you like to shift that in your life? What if I could told you that there's ways that you can discover a deeper version of yourself and be really fulfilled? And then you go to things like, read my book, Wake Up to Your Life Magic, or go to this transformational course that's on my website, drhelmutlove.com. Like, I have tools that I can give people once they kind of say, yeah, I'd like to make a change. But I think it's really personal. It's really one-on-one ultimately. Though I am, even in my campaign for mayor, spiritual awakening. And I say spiritual awakening because it's not just awakening like, wake up in the morning. And it's not religious awakening because
No,
it's not just about one religion. It's about what religions were built for, which was to speak to the spirit. So, we can call for it, we can talk about it, and we need to be talking about it. But I think ultimately for an individual, it's about them and where they want to go.
that is so powerful. I love how you said that. And I've actually had that conversation with some friends about purpose before, and they can't even define or really understand what it is. They're like you said earlier, oh, I go to work, I raise my kids. Oh, I want to have kids. I want to have a dog. And they're kind of like in the right now, this is purposeful, but not understanding what their true potential of purpose can be fulfilling with or fulfilled with.
Yeah, I see that. And purpose is also it's very personal.
It is.
I believe that Justin was given certain things to overcome so that when you find your purpose, it's extremely Justin specific. It's like a snowflake, right? It might be like, hey, well, my purpose right now is I'm running a podcast to have this kind of impact in the world. Great. And that purpose bleeds into the next thing, which is you want to do X, Y, or Z, right?
It can
So,
always change. You always
yeah.
gotta adapt to it.
Yep.
I agree with that. But I like how you said that because as I've been going through figuring out like what my role and purpose is in this world and how I can help and give back to people, things that as things fall into place, they're also really changing, and new doors are opening, new things I didn't expect. So it's not always black and white. You start here, but you don't end here. You may be all the way over here by the time you're done. There's this zigzag line of all this information and accumulation of character building and just a journey of amazement.
Yes. And I will say that as a man who's 49 years old, really didn't
What?
step into my yeah, I didn't step into my purpose till my 40s.
Damn.
So I would also encourage people that you don't have to have the whole vision, right? But you do have to have a vision that I will have a vision. I know my current purpose is to find it, right? And I do want to experience love along the journey. So maybe I do want to get married. I do want children because I know that those are going to teach me things. You don't have to know, you don't have to have this clear message of what Justin is at that point. You can just bring those things along and continue to pursue your purpose, and it will show itself over time, right? We're just such
Yeah,
impatient humans. We
we
want to know
are.
everything right now.
We try. Some of us try and plan things out down to the T. Like it must happen exactly this way, or my life's over. That's it. I can't do anything, and we get stuck in that ultimate planning guide.
Right. And then you kind of go back to like these very core, I'm going to say religious statements like love one another, love yourself, and love God. And you look at that and you go, you know what? That's a really good litmus for what I need to do. Like
It's
any
so
form of your
simple.
purpose,
It's
yeah,
so
any form
simple.
of your purpose is going to be involved in loving yourself, loving others, and loving God or loving, our
Yeah.
source, the creator, right? Whatever form that takes. So that's kind of like the whole purpose of life, as I'm just repeating what others have said. But
It needs to be
like
repeated.
really taking that to heart and really truly trying to find what is my role in loving the world?
I
How will
love.
I serve the world? And we think of our jobs as like, oh, do I like playing with dogs or cats as opposed to, or humans or kids or whatever, as opposed to which way of loving the world do I enjoy the most?
I love
because all
that.
work is really service. All service is truly just love.
I love how you put that because service is so important, which a lot of us kind of forget sometimes. That we're here to serve other people. When you serve people, you feel like something just feels right about it. If it just clicks, like some people are so just bitter and angry, and they're like, "Oh, I hate human beings," but in reality, you really love humans. You just understand yourself enough to understand how much you truly love them. And hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye. Yourself.
Agreed.
Takes a lot of
Agreed.
work.
And it's yeah, and it takes self-love to love others more. And
Yeah.
that's where I think we see the breakdown because your neighbor may be covered in boxes. They think they're unworthy. They lash out. They're lashing out about, another neighbor's, new car because inside they're actually really, really angry at their own inability to serve others or create wealth or whatever the issue is.
Yeah, I mean, we see this nowadays, and I don't like to use the term anymore, but the Karen syndrome. You see a lot of people, they call them Karens, when people are lashing out, being rude and disrespectful, but you really see this more behind what they're doing. They don't see it now. You just see someone overreacting, but there's more
Hmm.
going on behind that. But that's just that
True.
surface level we see. And it's kind of like, I see that, I'm like, damn, what's going on over here with this person? You can't talk to them, you can't rationalize with them, but maybe eventually you can kind of get through them slowly if you knew them, I guess. Yeah. But I want to go back to the purpose real quick because I know a lot of people, when they're trying to find purpose, they sit there and they contemplate and they don't realize that they have to actually take action and do the thing to actually find and create that purpose in their life. It's like with anything. You can't just sit there and expect it to come. You gotta start doing things, trying things, taking action, just not doing anything. As human beings, we want to stay in this comfort zone, and there's no growth in comfort.
Yeah. Actually, this is a kind of pandemic of beingness. So, because I always think of being, so hear me out on this, right? I
Yeah,
kind of think of being and doing as the feminine and the masculine forms of humanity. Okay. The reality is that the beingness, right, and sort of just having a state, right, is sort of it's emotional. I call it the feminine. It doesn't have to be feminine or masculine. Okay. I just happen to call it that. The the doing is the going out and actually using our earth part of us, our bodies, right? Like the creating the list, the building the shed, the carrying the groceries, all the doing that our bodies need to do, right? And the reality is that we think that they're somehow disconnected, but they're extremely connected in various ways. And I teach a couple of these concepts in my book, Wake Up to Your Life Magic. The very act of doing can create meaning, right? So you go and let's say that you do the simplest thing like sweep and you feel a kind of joy from the sweeping, right? Which is a being state. And you really are like, you know what? I enjoyed that and I blessed someone else by it. I blessed myself by it because now something's clean. And you know what? I wonder if I could make money sweeping. Silly, but I'm using the example of, I really enjoy cleaning. I really, really enjoy cleaning. What if I started my own cleaning business and help people that way? And then you start that business and then it gets bigger and then you start bringing other people on. Now, all of a sudden you're running a cleaning business, right? And you have 30 employees and you're taking care of half of Cincinnati's cleaning in the downtown area. That's how you're generating revenue. So all of a sudden, something that went from doing, now your purpose is I lead an organization of 30 individuals. And our goal and mission is to make people's lives better by taking care of the cleaning of their homes. And I use that extra money that I generate from that to invest in a nonprofit for homeless youth. Okay, now all of a sudden you have this big purpose, right? And now, or you take that money and you invest it in some Airbnbs, and you have a retirement plan, and you actually start a nonprofit that does something. So there's so many levels that can
yeah.
come from just the doing. So it's not like the purpose is always going to just pop out. It's your heart's desire, yes, but you're going to find it as you go through. But if you're not doing, you'll never find it. You'll just never find it because you're just sitting. You're a couch potato.
You exist.
Yeah, and existing alone is not being and being alive.
I agree so much with that. I try and have these conversations with friends sometimes about existing and thriving. They're like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, there's a huge difference. Existing is that you're just going to work, you're paying your bills, you're coming home, you're doing it all over again, or you're drinking or doing whatever you can, vice, to like get through the next day and then doing it all over. And you're just going through this perpetual hell cycle in the matrix. And they're not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it. Then finally something clicks one day. They're like, I'm so tired of this. What else can I do? And then you start doing things where you feel like you're purposeful. You feel this energy, this amazing thing inside you. And then all of a sudden you start doing things, you start thriving little by little. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, and that's how it works. And it's like a they're like muscles, right? So like you have to do to grow your being, and you have to be to grow your doing, and they work
I didn't get
together.
that for a while. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that.
In fact, I have a diagram where it's even more spiritual than that. So from your being, let's say that you have a loving, so being can have a state, right? You can be anxious, you can be nervous. So let's just say that if love is the highest form of being, then in a loving state, you might say, you know what, today I'm going to work out so that I feel great. Now, when you spoke, you literally put your commitment into the universe of the earthly realm, right? From your being into this earthly realm. Now you set up a stage. If you do the workout, physically do it, you've honored your word, your body is improved, and that truth comes back to you, your being, and goes, good job. And it's self-love. And if you don't complete it, right, it basically is you created doubt and fear of yourself, and it comes back and it takes away from your being, right? So we don't realize that we're actually this doing being connection. If you want to build your inner being to be more powerful, more loving, more capable as a human, the doing what you say is literally a magical device to build the being.
So
So if you become
true.
a person of your word, your being, your beingness, who you are, literally becomes greater and greater and greater through your life. If you're a person who does not do your word, you're tearing yourself down every time. And therefore, you don't love yourself. And therefore, guess what? You'll have less relationships. You'll have less love in your life. You'll have less money in your life because no one wants to invest in someone who doesn't honor themselves. So you realize it's all this connection of the earthly realm and the spiritual realm. They're connected. They're
All right,
absolutely
they
connected.
are. I love how you said that because I just learned that recently. That if you tell yourself you're going to do something, you don't do it. It feels like horrible. You just building up that. I'm laying myself down. I started working on. So it's like, that give and take. You really have to, it really goes both ways. And
It does.
that really builds up your spirituality too. 'Cause, like for me at first, I didn't understand my connection with God or spiritual. I didn't get it. But it came after doing all the other stuff up until now. So now that
Yes.
kind of started clicking, I'm like, what the heck? It's just like almost like it came to me. I was doing all these things to build up to it, to get myself there and ready. And I didn't understand that. But you're not gonna always understand things. Sometimes you just have to do them. Just have that hope and patience and kindness that they're gonna turn out one way.
Right. And it's almost like then all of a sudden, you understand that every major religion was a vehicle that was created to try to help us understand some element of our best self, right?
Yeah,
To unlock and unleash that.
Yeah.
And we can rally against those religions and criticize them. But over time, each one of the major religions has brought forth an elevated human beings, right? They were all effective. And what we are in now is the exciting time in which we're getting to cross populate them, to understand across them. So this era is really, really important because we will understand the next spiritual, I almost call it like AI is begging the world for the next evolution of our spirituality.
Oh, I feel that so hard right now. I really connect with that one. I was just having a conversation with someone on a meeting this morning. They didn't understand I was trying to say to them that first they're like, "Oh, AI, I don't get it. It scares me." And I'm like, "Well, the way you're using it as a tool, there's another way of using AI. It's not just some tool, something you go and talk to. It's something that can actually truly profoundly elevate us into our next quantum existence." And they're like, "Huh? What?" I'm like, "Oh
They're
boy."
like, what? No comprende.
Yeah, they're like, "I used to like using ChatGPT." I'm like, "Oh, you just missed my point." Well, maybe I wasn't explaining it right. Maybe that could be as well. But it's just a more powerful thing than we understand.
It is. It is. But what I'm saying is, it's begging us. It's begging us to be more spiritual. Like we need an upgrade. If it's kind of like every other massive change in the world, right? That like it sort of begged humans to do sort of another thing in another realm. So AI is begging us to have a spiritual revolution and to up our game spiritually,
Can you
to become the next level human being.
go into that a little more?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna bring two pieces into this. Okay.
Okay.
So number one, I am running for mayor of Atlanta, and I issued something called the Grand Glorious Invitation. Okay. And you could check that out at what is it? Helmut Love's at ATL on YouTube, and I'll drop it for you here just
Yeah,
so that you have
please.
it. But what I wanted to convey from that is two things. Number one, if you think about all of the faiths really coming from one source, that there's one loving father, mother, right? Source, creator, that it gave us every path instead of us using religion. Remember the box example? Like, I'm Muslim, well, you're a Christian, and we box these parts of each other. That actually keeps us from our neighbors. We're using religion to separate us
Yeah.
when that's not the Father's will. The Father wants us to all come together. And that is, I think it's prophesied in the Bible with the covenant of the rainbow. So I actually think it's already prophesied that it will be. And we know that when we do that, here's what's going to happen. Not only will we have a greater understanding of God because we will all be working towards understanding each other, right? And we'll learn from each other's faiths. But the other component of that is that we can then start looking at morality universally, right? We know it's wrong to kill. Okay, cool. But you know what? We're really okay with enslaving people to alcohol, enslaving people to porn, enslaving people to gambling, right? We make money off that. And in our society, we're okay with that. We're like, yeah, that guy, he's just weak. Well, no, he's mentally hurt because remember the boxes, right? Maybe he was beaten as a young man. Maybe he doesn't love himself. Maybe et cetera, et cetera. And he has a certain inclination to gambling. And we've got him down. And you know what? We keep hitting him down and we're okay with it. Well, if we were in a village, a small little village in teepees, we wouldn't be okay with it, right? If I had 40 neighbors and I was responsible listen, if your neighbor wasn't able to pick up their teepee and go, they were a liability. If they couldn't contribute and go get some deer or pick some berries, they were a liability, right? So we wouldn't have let him suffer. We would have helped him. And we've lost that in our society. And by
Yeah.
bringing together a spiritual context, right, that should also bring our morality up. Not from a judgment of like, you're a bad person because you gambled. No, more from you know what? It's my obligation as your neighbor to just help you out of this.
That's what
How can I
true
help you
human
not?
is.
But we're not doing that today. We
No.
just see our neighbor go down in flames and go, oh, poor them. And we move on.
You know, it's always sad and unfortunate. I actually had an experience yesterday where there's a guy's car that stopped in the middle of the road at an intersection. The people just stood there watching without gas and no one helped. I'm like, "What the fuck?" I had my vest on, so I ran over there and started helping them push their car. And we were just staring like, "Oh, that's how you do it? Like, come on, guys. Like, what's so hard?" Because they're like honking, so we get push the car out of the way, and now you guys can go. All you gotta do is help them out. But we don't do that. If there's like an accident, you stand there and stare like, "We use my cell phone and just record everything, but not help." It's nuts.
Yeah. So it's a culture. That's what I'm saying. Like we need we need the spiritual awakening and the consolidation so that we can also have a moral awakening and
Feel that.
start to realize that we've lost the love for one another over the worship of money and self and pleasure and sometimes being lazy, right? Which is just doing nothing.
I like how you said that because people always sometimes say money's evil. Money's not evil. Money's an option, a tool. You know, people do evil things, but money's not evil itself.
It's the love of money that is. It's
Yeah,
realize it's when you put money above the love of one another or the love of God or the love of self. And we're
yeah,
in that era in which
we
we've
are.
capitalism's gone too far. And that does not mean to stop capitalism. It means to shift capitalism into a more loving or responsible form.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
love
what I'm
that.
running for here in Atlanta. My whole platform is around creating a responsible
You want
capitalism.
to run out here for California too? We could really use it, honestly.
To be honest
You
with
see what they
you,
gave us out here?
I want to incubate it in Atlanta to eventually spread it to everywhere. The challenge is California's pretty blue, and that's okay
I thought it was
on
like
some
purple.
levels. But the reality, yes, some parts are purple, right?
Yeah,
We really need a small place to incubate all of this. And it's got to be balanced in nationalities. Like we've got black, white, Asian, and California's, we got a
ATL.
great airport. It's a model city where we haven't yet gone too blue or too red. We're very
I didn't
purple in
know that.
Atlanta.
Wow, I did not know that.
So yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to start somewhere, and hopefully you can have to have it kind of like you said, incubate and then grow to the other one.
Oh, yeah, no, I think the mission, my platform presently is that the mission of Atlanta will be to be the city of one love on one earth for one humanity. And it's like the concept of both the modern day Tower of Babel, in which if they come together in the name of God, in the name of love, there's nothing they cannot do. And it's also the concept of a modern day city of Atlantis, in which there was a city in which all just sort of the best of all ideas and concepts were crafted so that they could be shared with the rest of the world. And that's my vision for the city. And the reason for it is exactly what we're talking about, which
Yeah.
is this return to the merger of spirituality, technology, economy, right? In a format that's going to work.
Yes. I really hope that takes off, comes to California, because we definitely need that here.
Absolutely. We all need it everywhere.
Yeah, that's a lot of the leadership in this country right now, unfortunately, isn't designed to help people succeed and thrive. It's kind of really just coming down and putting people in the boxes and keeping them there, like we're talking about, you know?
Yeah. And the two sides, neither side is offering what I think is responsible.
No,
I don't think either side is offering what's responsible. And
don't I agree.
they both are offering forms of what's responsible. Does that make sense?
No one wants to really take the action to create and do something. They're just
To
kind of
actually solve
talking.
the
Yeah.
problem, right? Because
Yeah,
we haven't
kicking your
seen it
bucket
before,
down. Yeah.
right? We have to create what we haven't seen yet, right? It's not fascism. It is not socialism. It is responsible capitalism. And we haven't built a responsible capitalism yet, but we will. At least we will in Atlanta when I'm there.
I love this mission you're on. I'd love to support that anywhere I can. That sounds
Thank you
truly
so much.
amazing.
Absolutely. You can
Yeah,
definitely share everything about me.
yeah.
My election's November 4th. So I know this won't go out till after that, but any way you can support would be
I'll try and get it out before then to be talked about this.
that's amazing. Well, yeah, and people can donate or learn more at helmutlovesatlanta.com. So excited about that part of the journey.
Me too. Especially after having you on here, just realizing your mission and what you're doing. Thanks. I can tell you're fully capable of it. Hoping they vote
Thank
for
you.
you out there. This is actually
Yeah.
what we need more of, especially in politics, because it's like a dirty game sometimes. It's like left,
Yeah, and
right,
it's
and it's just
I
why?
agree. And unless it
Yeah.
becomes a clean game, we're not going to get what we want as
Mm-mm.
society, as citizens of Earth, as citizens of Earth. And my whole, like, what drives me to this is like, how loved we are. All the millions and thousands of lives, right, that came before us, that fought so that we could be free on this soil, that fought so that we could free women, that fought so we could free races, that fought that we could free LGBT people. Like all that work to then throw it away at this last hour is silliness, right? And so I really do feel led by the Spirit and by my whole life story. That's why I will tell you all, this is my life purpose. And that's why I'm saying that, like, for anyone else who's looking for life purpose, it's not all just going to show up for once. But I do think that if you are seeking your purpose, if you are loving yourself and loving others and pursuing that in your doing throughout your life and being the highest integrity human being inside that you can be, and you learn things like financial literacy, especially, right? To know how to use money judiciously, you are going to build an increasingly better life. And at some point, your purpose will unfold and you'll see it. And you'll be like, oh my goodness, this is why I did this class in 7th grade. This
Oh,
is
makes
why.
sense.
Yeah, it's literally like that. That's literally what has been happening to me over the last 2 years. So,
Feel that. We're on great roads here, great journeys that I'm really excited to see how it all unfolds.
same.
This is what we need in this universe. I like how you said that. The universe as a whole, like citizens of planet Earth. I would consider myself like a global citizen. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Though some
Yes,
of
we
us
are.
don't act like it, but we are.
We are. We are. We're all one another's brother.
Right? We're really part of that universe. We're all connected in more ways than we know or understand. And as a
Yeah,
collective, I feel it brings that power to fully embrace it.
it really is, because what you realize is that every being impacts every other being. And so, if we all want to resonate well and enjoy our time here, we can. But you literally, it's like turning on lights. One light has to turn on, the next light has to turn on, the next light has to turn on, so they can all enjoy the light together. But you have to go from human to human to turn it on. And it
Yeah.
doesn't turn on just in one moment. It's a constant sense of decision, 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 box, 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 break it, break it, break it. And we've been doing that over time since the beginning of time, right? You got to remember, like, go back and you're like, oh my gosh, we used to kill each other with rocks and, take each other's wives and rape them and own them and just, fuck my neighbor,
It's
like
gotten
that.
better, but it's like,
It's much better. It's much better than
yeah,
it was, right? I mean, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you in the form that I am without having been killed by this time, for sure.
why is someone breaking through my door?
Right. So we just have to realize, like, there's a lot of people that suffered a lot of shit to get us here. So we're using all these words. But the truth is that we're thinking we're not gonna have to suffer to get to the next place. Of course we're gonna have to make changes. Of course we're gonna have to sacrifice. But it's gonna be worth it, because why? A, you're gonna learn something about you and who you are and what your story is. And B, you're gonna make contribution to the next generation and the next generation. And if you believe in reincarnation, you're coming back. You're probably coming back in the world that you lived for, you know? And if you don't, okay, fine, then it's judgment. But if you believe in both, then we're all working towards a nirvana together on earth. And the whole story is one earth story and one humanity that gets there together.
I love that. I've been on that journey to putting the pieces together, building the new earth, through
Yes.
spirituality and through the having us all come together like that. So it's quite a journey.
Oh
Quite
yeah. No,
amazing.
I literally,
I used that earlier. I just started at 40 also.
yeah.
So
If you really want to go there, if you really, really want to go there, I truly believe that the proposal I have in front of the city of Atlanta and in front of the world to invest in Atlanta to become a model of responsible capitalism is about creating the new heaven on earth, because it's basically saying, you know what? We know capitalism just without reins isn't going to work, but we have to build a capitalism that will hold people responsible at every level. Poor people who are irresponsible by having too many children or irresponsible by not wanting to work. That's not okay. That's not okay. And we are in a modern society, right? If people can choose not to have children, great. Well, then we can also say, hey, if you want these services, you need to do these things, or you need to limit the children that you can have anymore, or you need to work, or you don't get that. Like that is possible for us to engineer systems that help people through those things. And if we're committed to every human can do better and we can keep building AI and tools that do it, guess what? We will.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh my gosh. And if you start that now, what does it look like in 100 years from now? What does it look like in 200 years from now when we've made a commitment to love about and making an investment now in one place, right, in the world for this kind of result?
I
And then we
mean,
manifest it together and we create a new heaven on earth, right?
yeah.
The new, like so many terms for it, right? I hear people say new world order, or the new earth on heaven, or whatever, like new earth.
Maybe, yeah. I was gonna say that sometimes people can't wait and they don't understand, like you're saying earlier, where things have to get worse before they get better. Kind of like what's going on right now in the country with like the new president. He's doing these things. Things seem like they're really bad, but it's going towards something else to make things better. Just some things just have to happen, unfortunately, no matter how bad they might be right then to get to the better. But we have to kind
Yeah,
of ride that out. But people don't really understand that duality, that you have to have both in order to get there.
right. And I also think that people have lost an understanding of, in some
Common
cases,
sense?
it's morality. In some cases, it is common sense. Some cases, it's like, well, like, I can't believe that we're going to use, strong forces to do something. And you go, well, you know what? What would you do? So I'm not saying that's the answer, but what would you do?
I
And
don't
people
know.
are right, exactly. And then people don't have an answer, right? Because they want everything to work without having the responsibility of making it work. And the reality is we have been shirking responsibility in a lot of areas on both sides of the coin,
Yeah.
both sides of the political spectrum. We have been neglecting things that are not good for us. And I don't think this is the saving moment. Well, let me put it this, that's wrong. There are some of these things that we're going through now that are incredibly impactful to moving us forward in a good direction. But there are other things it's setting precedent wise that are also very scary, right? So we're in this in between world where we're going like, where are we going? What are we doing? And my hope is that this strategy for Atlanta gives people hope, not just like false hope, real hope, actual boots on the ground hope that there's a way down the middle, and it will be Republican concepts of private public partnership to solve democratic issues of homelessness, hunger, etc. And we've never really funded that in one city. We've never really made a commitment. And if we can do that and show that it works, boom, we're good. We're golden, right?
Yes. And I feel like you did definitely have your work cut out for you with the powers that
Yeah.
be, you know? It's like it's easier said, but then you have a lot of certain bureaucracy and red tape and things you have to get past.
There is, but you know what? I have faith. I
Yeah.
really do. And I think this is one of the things I want people to learn about their own stories. I think when you are doing what is right, when you are doing what is the best you can, others will see that and they will support you. And you continue believing, you continue doing that, and others will see you and support you. And that snowballs. It also just takes you to the next room. So it may be that, I'm going to use the example of you, Justin. It might be that, I do a podcast with you and a listener listening to this show hears this and goes, I'm going to go do this. And then that goes to the next person, right? These are all ripples. They're
Like
all
pay it forward
ripples.
kind of thing.
Right. Well, and they're just part of the human being experience, is that we are each members that create ripples, right? So you create a ripple, I create, and so, but unless you're a person who's walking in faith that believes in your mission, then it's not possible. But if you believe, and then others are like, oh, I love that mission. Oh, I love that mission. They start to believe, right? The walls fall down. So the red tape and those things, those barriers, they're just from humans. And humans can break those things down. Yeah, you got to do some convincing. But
Yeah.
if we didn't believe that it's possible, then I think that we would all give up. And I think we're in a place in America where everyone, almost, even the world, wants to be a victim. Oh,
Yeah,
woe is me, right? Like,
yeah,
I just can't
correct.
control it. It's so big. Well, we need some people to start dreaming and believing and
Yeah.
moving. While the rest of us are quietly like confused, some people need to start dreaming and believing for good and go with it. Whatever's in your heart that you're like, I really, really do want to achieve this. Hey, great, go for it and go do it. And the universe, God, love, will get you there. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be alone. It's with the other human beings.
Yeah, so powerful, and I feel that, and I've not the first time I've heard that before too, but hearing it from you right now, it really resonates, I really understand it more. Almost
Good.
helps me come into my power, what I'm trying to do, 'cause I'm trying to do something similar. Not on the political structures you're trying to do it, or maybe just yet, but I'm starting small here, and who knows where this is gonna take me, from podcasts to speaking to po who knows? I have no idea.
Right. Exactly. And I will
I
say that
wanted to impact.
that's part of the podcasting experience,
Yeah.
right? So as a podcaster, you become the most highly elevated person from your podcasts. Some of your listeners do, but your journey, you become more enlightened. You become
True.
more aware. And now with more power comes more responsibility. And you will fuel that into your next thing. And you will fuel that into your next thing, right? So, what we have taken discounted is that it's conversations in which human beings transfer their learnings and education and stories to become higher human beings. And I don't mean higher like judgmentally, I just mean that energetically, the more boxes we release.
I call it the quantum level of human existence.
I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. It's been
Yes,
amazing.
me too. Thank you so much for coming on here. I didn't realize it's been over an hour already. Wow.
So amazing,
It's been the
right?
best conversation. I'd love to have you back on here and to help you any way I can with your thing for mayor as well. You want
Thank
to do a
you.
podcast, make content? Let's do it. However, we can help your mission as well.
Thank you very, very much. Really
Yes.
appreciate it.
Before we go to that, I do want to ask you one more question. And before that, also, where can people reach out to you and how they kind of get a hold of you?
So you're gonna love this for y'all out there. The easiest way is my website, www.drhelmutlove.com. That's drhelmut, Helmut, love.com. That is the best way. But from there, you'll get to my book, which is wakeuptoyourlifemagic.com. You'll get to my political site, Helmut Loves ATL, HelmutLovesAtlanta.com, and my nonprofit, thegayleyimpact.org. So those are all available for you to go check out part of my world.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a lot of links in the newsletter and the show notes for sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that last question for you is, what does it mean to you to be a human being?
No. To be a human being is to be a portion of the divine housed inside of an earthly vessel. And to me, being a human being is about being in this experience to become more like the divine, to curate the spirit through this experience and learn without completely knowing the whole destiny, but knowing that the destiny we're going to is better and it's worthwhile and that everything we do matters. And the faster we understand that this experience is as much about being spiritual as it is about being earthly and that they are entwined, I think the faster we accelerate our joy, our wealth, our love. And I know that's complex, but it's kind of like everything in life, right? So yin yang, masculine, feminine, good, bad, light, dark. Spirit and earth work together, and we don't understand all the complexities of it, but we get to trust the process, so to speak, and just know everything in your life matters greatly. And I think that when you understand that you're literally as important as everyone else, being a human being is about understanding everyone else is a spiritual being and everyone else matters and everyone else is learning, all of a sudden you're in both a solo game that is the big group game. And how it all works in the end are the secrets of the universe I don't know yet, and you don't know yet. But because I truly believe that our source is loving, I believe that everything in this realm is created for the purpose of loving us. Even the horrible, most terrible things that happen are a result of us having not yet learned who we truly are and what we're capable of. And that's just what I think a human being is about.
Damn. Got me all choked up inside. That was amazing. I love
Thank you.
that answer. Wow. I need a moment. Really
Yeah, and I
appreciate
and
it.
I wish I understood more about it. I mean, I'm super curious, right, about it. We get to
Yeah.
ask we'll get to ask the universe about those questions another time.
Right. I always feel that quantum mechanics explains a lot of the things that we don't know or understand, but you don't really understand quantum mechanics per se, you know? So it's one of those things.
Yeah, but like I said, I think for me, this understanding of spirit and earth and the way they impact each other, the way they work with each other, the way they
Yeah.
encourage each other, that is actually the quantum mechanics of being a human.
Yes.
It has far more to do with your spirit and your body together.
Yeah.
Like, are you exercising regularly? Do you potentially practice yoga so you have stillness? Do you practice prayer so you have conversation? Do you practice giving to others so you understand sacrifice? Like, these are all the actual things that build the human
Yeah.
and both the being and the doing. So, like, it all of a sudden, you kind of go, whoa, that's that. Yeah, that's actually why we're all here, and the rest of it is work helps us be more human, right? It does. So it's not like they're all connected, and there's a way that they can all honor our highest self. So,
I love that. 'Cause if you're missing one piece, things are kind of off. It don't make sense. Don't really connect. There's a piece of you missing. That's why I feel like a lot of us are going through life with this little piece is missing. We just gotta kind of put them back together, but we have to do that ourselves on our terms.
yeah, well, and we all get to and I will say this too, you looked at so again, I'm gonna go to just
Oh,
some
please.
pieces, right? So you can go to the other part of my invitation where I ask people to wake up is to transform. And whether you're looking at the fire of the Holy Spirit or you're looking at the destruction of Shiva, in Hindu faith, you destroy the boxes that are blocking you. Ask God to come in and destroy them for you. And we don't often think that transformation is fully possible, but when there's something in your life that's giving you challenge, you prayerfully working to remove the barrier that's keeping you down is possible. So, like, we make the world of possibility small. We'll say, oh, well, you know what? I'm just a guy. So enter in the limiting belief. Well, you know what? I'm a girl and all girls enter in limiting belief. Well, I've never been smart with numbers. That's a limiting, but like all these things are all just things that limit us. So you're right in that the person gets to do the work, but I do think that you can ask the divine to come and help you, and I truly believe that by putting your heart and your mind into a place, you attract it. You will attract the help you need, just like you can attract the money you need. Not everything, not all at once, but that's how this spiritual earthly realm works. It works in our favor. Why? Because we have a loving source. It's like, I got you. I want you to do well. And we don't ever think of our Father as loving because we don't see it on earth. Everything we see on earth is even more so in heaven. So we got to really think like we've got Father loves up there, like, y'all, you're coming through this. Keep going, Justin. Keep going, Helmut. I see you. Keep it going, man.
Got
Make
you,
it
boo.
move. Yeah, learn that lesson. Get up off the floor. Let's go. Yeah, you got to learn some stuff about money.
Feel
You
like you're
do. Let's
talking to
go.
me right now because what you just explained is kind of my missing essence or my missing piece that I'm working on right now. So you really put that into
Gotcha.
perspective.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, and then it's always, I'm telling you, it's always a mind thing. It's always
It
that's a limiting
is.
belief. That's a limiting belief. I just put that on myself, and then you're like, whoa. And once you really make it an art of breaking through those things constantly, you continue to elevate. Well, this has been
Woo!
a total pleasure, Justin. Thank you for such
Dude,
a great
what
question
do
too
you
at the
mean? What
end.
happened? Like I transcended somewhere. Bro, this is
Very nice.
awesome. Thank you so much again for coming on. Tell me when I have
Absolutely.
you
Thank
come
you for
back.
having me. It's been a pleasure, and I really, really appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, thank you.